Hello boys and girls, how are we all doing? I hope we're all safe and well and making the most of our time off, making sure of course we get our schoolwork done, but also trying to enjoy that really good weather we've had and trying to go outside and make the most of it. Doing whatever we enjoy doing, whether it's just running about, whether it's been on our bikes, maybe been on a trampoline, maybe helping our mum and dad with wee jobs they're doing, or maybe going out and walks with our parents. Whatever we're doing, I hope we're enjoying as much as we can this time we have off and using it maybe to learn new things, maybe to learn an instrument, or maybe to get better at a sport we play as well. So I've been trying to use this time as well as best I can. And when it's been good weather, I've tried to go outside and do something useful, trying to do a few jobs need done, whether it's painting, done a brave lot of painting, or any other little jobs that need done. And even just going out and kicking a football about the odd time, and even trying to even get better at keepy ups, which I'm not very good at. But one thing that I've been doing maybe when the days haven't been so good is trying to build this. It's like a model football. It's a Man United model football. If it wasn't a Man United model football, it wouldn't be worth buying, of course. So I've been getting on all right so far. I've built a brave lot of it. I'm not finished. I'll show you what it looks like so far. So it looks like this. So as you can see, it's not done. Maybe about halfway there, but I've still got a bit to go to try and get this done. The thing about this model football is it's composed of lots of different pieces. Bits that are bigger, bits that are smaller. I'll show you a few of them now. So, you get these really long pieces, okay, which seem really important, really vital to making this football. You get bits that are a bit smaller. You get pieces that are smaller again, so even you can see the difference between the two of these. You get pieces that are even smaller, and you get pieces that are tiny, just very, very small, very easy to get lost, very easy to go missing. They don't seem that important to making this football. But the thing is, you need all of them. You can't make this football with only the big pieces. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't come together. You can see in the bottom how there's all these different pieces, different sizes, and they all are important. They all have their job to play. They all have their role, and you need all of them. You can't make this football without all of them. All the big pieces, all the smaller pieces, all the little tiny pieces that you would nearly miss. They are so small. Every one of them has a role. Sometimes as children, you might look at the minister or the Sunday school teachers at church or youth club leaders and think it's their job to tell people about Jesus and tell people how to be saved. That they're really important, and you wouldn't be able to do what they do. You wouldn't be able to tell people about Jesus just like the way they do. But that's a wee bit like this model. You look at them as being like these pieces here. Very important in making the football. Key to making it. But what did I say? I said that these little tiny pieces are just as important, and without them the model couldn't be made. So even if you do feel small and tiny and insignificant, you can still play your part just like the way these little pieces play their part. But maybe you're not convinced. Well, the best thing to do then is to look to the Bible and to talk about a story from the Bible which will help show us how important we can be in helping show people what a Christian is and how they can be saved. This story is from 2 Kings 5 verses 1 to 27 and is about Naaman, the army general who had leprosy. Naaman was commander of the army of the king of Aram. He had won many battles and was highly regarded by his king. However, this brave soldier discovered he had a terrible disease called leprosy. The kingdom of Aram was not far from the kingdom of Israel, where the prophet Elisha lived. Now bands of raiders from Aram had gone out and had taken captive a young girl from Israel, and she served Naaman's wife. One day this young girl said to Naaman's wife, "If only Naaman would see the prophet who is in Samaria, he would cure him of his leprosy." So Naaman asked the king of Aram to write a letter to the king of Israel, and he then set off to visit him with gifts of silver, gold, and expensive clothing. The king of Israel read the letter, and it said, "I am sending my servant Naaman to you, so that you may cure him of his leprosy." The king tore his robes and said, "Am I a god? Can I kill and bring people back to life? Why does this fellow send someone to me to be cured of his leprosy? He must be trying to pick a quarrel with me." However, when Elisha the man of God heard that the king of Israel had torn his robes, he sent him this message: "Why have you torn your robes? Send the man to me, and he will know that there is a prophet in Israel." So Naaman went with his horses and chariots and stopped at the door of Elisha's house. Elisha sent a messenger to him to say, "Go, wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan, and your flesh will be restored, and you will be cleansed." But Naaman was furious and said, "I thought that he would come out, stand, and call on the name of the Lord his God, and cure me of my leprosy. The rivers of Damascus are better than all the waters of Israel. Couldn't I just wash in them and be cleansed?" He turned and went off in rage. Naaman's servants went to him and said, "If the prophet had told you to do some great thing, would you not have done it? How much more then when he tells you, 'Wash and be cleansed'?" So Naaman set off for the river Jordan. Naaman went down into the river and dipped once, then twice. He then dipped a third and fourth time. He dipped a fifth, then a sixth. He then dipped for a 7th time. Just as Elisha had said, his skin was healed, and he had become clean and cured of leprosy. Naaman and all his attendants went back to Elisha. Naaman told him, "Now I know that there is no God in all the world except in Israel. So please accept the gift from your servant." But Elisha replied, "As surely as the Lord lives, whom I serve, I will not accept a thing." And even though Naaman urged him, he refused. Naaman promised Elisha he would only worship the Lord God in future, and Elisha said, "Go in peace." So what an amazing story. A story which tells us how powerful God is. Because this man Naaman listened to what Elisha told him to do and dipped in the river Jordan 7 times, God healed him of his leprosy. But not only that, this man went home realizing that there was only one true God. But how does this relate to you as a child? Well, I said earlier on, sometimes you can feel like a small part of the overall church, and you think maybe your role isn't that big. But in this story, it was this servant girl, whose name we don't even know, who told Naaman's wife about Elisha. And because she did that, Naaman was able to go to Elisha, dip into the Jordan 7 times, and be healed of his leprosy, and know the reality that there was only one true God. No longer would he worship any other gods. He knew there was only one. And that's because of what she did. It may seem like a small part, but it had massive consequences. So we have to remember that in our lives. And you need to remember that as well. That you can play what seems like a small part, but it might have big, big consequences for other people. So what can you do? Well, first of all, you can pray. Doesn't matter how young you are. You can pray to God if you're a Christian, and he will listen to you and he will hear you. And he will answer your prayers. So you could be praying for your friends, maybe at school that aren't Christians. You could be praying for all those workers in the NHS who are fighting this virus at the minute. And you could just pray for other people who you know who might be sick and not well, that they would get better. You could also talk to your friends on the phone, on free video calls, and tell them about the Bible story you've read, or tell them about something you've learned recently from the Bible. And when you're back to school, you could spend time talking to your friends again and trying to talk about the Bible and Jesus when you get the chance. Also, when you're in school, you could try to make sure that when the teacher tells you to do something, that you do it, and you behave as well as you can, and you try and help others as much as possible. And even when you're at home at the minute, you could try your best to be as helpful to your family as possible and do what you can to show God's love. So try to remember that. You may feel like a small part, But God can use you just like He used this servant girl to do amazing things.